All right, we're going to continue on with the sketch that we have here and try some of the questions. All right, remember the very first question in a logic games question set is just going to be something that tests your knowledge of the rules, right? When it says which of the following is an acceptable construction schedule for the class, it's basically asking what could be true. So anything that's wrong would be things that would have to be false, would be stuff that break our rules. And so what I would suggest is you would literally just go down the line. Oh, let me put rules up here for a second. Yeah, G had to be behind K, or to the left of, and we also had L and M had to be a block, and the other stuff was sketched up there. Okay, so let's start with, say, that one. It doesn't really matter. We can just tick through the list. Starting with this rule, where do we not have G behind K? Okay, A is fine, B is fine, that's fine, that's fine, that one's out. Okay? All right, so we took care of that rule. What about L and M together as a block? Well, that's fine there, that's fine here, that's fine here, that's not okay here, that's out. Okay, so we took care of those. F on 5, let's see. Out of our remaining choices, F is on 5 here, F is not on 5 there, that's out. F's on 5. All right, so we're down to either B or D, and the tiebreaker seems to be where J should go, either 2 or 6. Let's see. Is J on 2? No. J on 6? Nope. B is out, and we're done. Answer has to be D. Okay? That's how those things go. You can try to do those as quickly as you can because those are sort of, I'm not going to say brainless questions, but they don't really involve you having to do much more than what you've already done with your work there. Okay, so let's look at the next one. It says if. All right, so if G is built sometime after F is built, which of the following must be true. So remember, when something must be true, if something is a false answer, it could be false, must be false, could be false, that would be the wrong answer type. So whenever we have an if, what I would suggest that you do, just label the question there, is make a new sketch for the if. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to incorporate this new information here, but follow the rules that we had from our master sketch. So we know that F has to be on day 5 or week 5, right? And then it says G is built sometime after F. Well, that means G could go either here or there. But we know from our rule here that K has to come after G, so that forces us to do this. Okay? Now, before we go any further, what other deductions could we potentially make here? And let's think about this. Looking at our sketch, the next thing we can look at perhaps is J. J is supposed to either go on 6 or 2. We filled up 6 with G, so J would have to go here, right? And if that's the case, then look at this now. We know that L and M have to be a block together. And that means they have to have at least, well, they have to have 2 spaces right next to each other, and there's only one place where that happens, right here. So I know that these 2 slots here have to be filled with L and M, which then forces me to put the floater. H has to go here, right? So these are the deductions that I can make here, and now let's go through the list. Does it have to be true that G is 7? Nope. I'm going to go through this quickly. Pause the video if you're confused at any point. That has to be true. We're done. But just for the sake of it, on the test, once you found that, you're done, move on. But just quickly go through this. J has to be on week 6. Nope. L has to be week 3. Be very cautious on this one. L could be on week 3, but L could also be on week 4. It doesn't have to be here, so that's out. M is week 1. No. Okay? Very important on that. All right, so now let's go ahead and move on to question 3. Which of the following is a complete and accurate list of the weeks, any one of which could be where K was built? All right, now let's just think about this for a minute. We're gonna use a couple strategies for this complete and accurate list. Really, what it's asking for is, out of all of the different weeks that we have, which are the ones that K could go without breaking our rules? Now, this could seem like this would take a very long time to do. We'd have to test out every single week and see if it breaks any rules. Well, obviously that would take far too much time, so let's do a shortcut. We can also use information from the previous questions that we've done. Let's think about this for a minute. Look at question 2. We found out that in question 2, K could go on week 7. So that is one of the possibilities. K could go on week 7, which allows us to eliminate, well, at least one thing. A is out. Does not include 7. It's not a complete list. Okay, so that's out. We also know, what else do we know? From the first question, correct answer there was, oh, that's also 7. Okay, so that also tells us 7, so that doesn't help us eliminate much more. Let's think about this. Look at our sketch here. We know that K can't go on week 1. That eliminates D. And then there's nothing really immediate here left to check. We'll have to run through a few things, but I always suggest looking at your other rules, especially if you have anything cast in stone, and that is we know that F has to be week 5, right? That's locked in. Nothing else could be a week 5. So that tells me I can get rid of C. There's no way that K can go on week 5. So I'm down to either B or E. Now, let's look at the differences between them. We don't need to bother testing week 2 because they both have that, and we don't need to bother testing week 7 because they both have that as well. But look at this. They both have week 3, so we don't need to test that either. All we need to do is check to see the difference between B and E is that E includes 4 and 6. Pick one of those. See if, which remember, those are not contained in B. See if K can go in one of those slots, and if so, B is out, and E would be the answer. So I'm just going to randomly pick. Let's just try. How about week 4? Can we do week 4 without breaking any rules? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I put K on week 4, that would go right here. Let's see. F has to go on week 5, and then let's think about what pieces we have left to play with. We need to put J either here or here. It doesn't really matter. Supposing I put J here, that's fine. Okay. Oh, excuse me. I would have to do L and M together and G behind K, so I could do maybe something like this. I could do G, and I could do L and M. And remember, H is a floater. Anyway, that's perfectly fine. I could do that without breaking any rules. Therefore, E is the correct answer. Okay. Now, let's try to go through these other ones real quickly. The video's getting a bit long, but I'd rather just finish this up in one shot. We're basically just going to do exactly the same thing like we did in the previous one, which is that we're asked to find complete and accurate list of decks, any one of which could be in week 3. Well, what information do we have about week 3 from all the other, prior things that we've done? Well, let's look at question 3. We know that from there, G could go in week 3. So anything that does not include G is out. So that eliminates A, and E, right? Hopefully you see that. All right, I'm trying to do this a little bit quickly here. Okay, what else do we have? We also know that week 3 for question number 2 could contain either L or M. So that means we can eliminate B because that doesn't have either L or M. That one does, and that one does, so that's that. Okay, so that's as far as we can go there. What about, what else do we have here? The correct answer for number 1 was that we had L on 3. Okay, so that's not adding anything new. So then let's think about this. Oh, look at this. Okay, I see the correct answer has to be D, because look at this. In C, they had F in there. We know F can only go on 5, so there's no way that F could be built in week 3. The answer is D. See, they're not so bad, these types of questions, as long as you're using your master sketch, right? Where F had to go and so on, and then all the other information from the other questions. All right, so very good. Let's go ahead and do the last one real quickly. If G is built during week 4, then exactly how many acceptable orders which could be built? All right, so this looks a little complicated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's put G on week 4. That would be here. We know F has to go here, right? And then what the question is, how many different ways could we construct the rest of all of these decks? All right, so just let me pause for 1 second. I need to use the restroom. A little too much information. We'll come back to this in just a second. All right, sorry about that. We'll make this fast. Okay, so this seems like there's a lot here. Exactly how many different ways could we combine these? Always try to make as many deductions as you possibly can. We know that K has to come after G, so that has to be either 6 or 7, okay? But we also know that J has to be, I'm going to scroll up here for a second, you can kind of see hopefully, J has to be either in 2 or 6, okay? But now, and we also know, kind of flowing all this together, L and M have to be a block of 2. So think about this. Let's go with the most restricted block first. And by restrictive, I mean, things that have to be lumped together. We know L and M have to be together, so that means either here in 6 or 7 or somewhere in this group here, right? Oops. So L and M either somewhere in here or here. Well, clearly they have to be in here somewhere because I have to put K afterwards. So that tells me I'm going to have to put K here. Just think about this for a second, and I'm going to have to put J here. Because if I put J on 2, that's going to split up the LM block, right? They won't be right next to each other, right? If I put J right here, then I can't put L and M right next to each other. Okay, so this is what I must have. And then what's left to play with is L, M, and H in these 3 spaces. Well, how many different ways could I combine them? Let's see. Well, let me do this for a second. I'm just going to look at these 3. I'm ignoring the rest of this. So it's 1, 2, 3. I could do either L or M here, or L or M there, and then H, or I could do something like this. I could have H first, and then the L or M group. Now let's think about how many combinations that'd be. Let's say for the first one, there's 2 different ways that that could happen, right? I could either have L, M, H, or I could do M, L, H, right? So that's 2. And then by the same logic, there's 2 methods for this one, and that gets me to a grand total of 4 ways that I could combine these. I feel like that was a little bit rushed. I know, but the video is getting kind of long. Shoot me a comment or an email for those of you who have it, or text, and I will be more than happy to explain further.